This is how to make a type beat for Marlon Dubois and yhapojj. I'm just gonna like play it back as I made it kind of thing, and you kind of see how my process is and how I start. I just started out, I was playing around with like with Serum, and I was trying to design like just a kind of like a bell preset. It's just a sine wave, and then I did this different thing. Instead of doing FM from B, I went FM from noise, and I turned the noise down, and then I just like automated this with the envelope. So it sounds like really kind of distorted or something. It's just the signal running through it. Anyway. Kind of simple melody. We're in A sharp major. Well, that's what the scale is. These are kind of my root notes. 1, 6, and then 3. And usually I have the 3 down, but this time I went up just because it sounded better. And then I just played some notes around it, and they just sounded good like where they were. So kind of looks like a bit of a mess, but it sounds good, and that's all that matters. Then I just put halftime on that because it was a little bit too bright, but you just heard it with the halftime signal. So then I went into Xenology and I used a bell. Then I half-timed it, blended in 76%, and then I use this volume automation, but I changed the speed of it to like half speed. So this is kind of like a gate, but it's like ramped up. If you watch my videos, you've probably seen that before. So together, those two sound like this. Then I just got this bell in Omnisphere. It's called Drops of Glass, and you can find it if you go into type. Then you go Bells Ambient. There's some really good presets in here. I put Valhalla Supermassive on it. It was just the default preset, and I added like a lot, like it's like a 75%. It's very wet signal. And then I just added some width to it just to like spread it out. I felt like that was a little bit too simple and repetitive. So then I added in this, it's like a piano rumpler. It was called Walno. It's not very audible, but it just adds like a little bit of tone, and it's just like a soft texture in there. So yeah, that's nice. And then I grouped all of those synths, and then I put Valhalla on them, but I just mixed it in at like 44% on the default preset just to make the whole melody kind of like gel together. And then I went with halftime, just your standard like default preset, pulled the mix back to 70% so you can hear a little bit of the original signal. And then at the end of that chain, I just did a high pass, took out the low end. So that's my foundation there. And then I kind of, outside of that group, I went with Xenology, and I just, I was kind of going for this. I've kind of heard like this piano in like yhapojj kind of songs, a few of them. It's kind of like this triplet piano melody. So I just went with E grand. It's just a grand piano, electric grand piano, I guess. Just go standard piano. It's like the first preset. Then on top of that, I added this, it's called subtle stereo. So it's just like a stereo automation, like a panning automation. So it just like kind of moves the melody around, just makes it a little bit more interesting, like sonically. And then I did this EQ, and I used this default supermassive preset again, just at like 22%. And then to create like kind of a different section. So these two elements, I kept them outside of the group because it had these effects on it, and I didn't want them to like sound like that. It just sounded better outside of the group. Then this audio here is the same audio from this, but all I did was I duplicated it, and then I went like this. Valhalla Supermassive. I went to this really good preset. Benson, Arizona, kept the mix on 100%, and then I just go freeze track, and then once it freezes, there's a setting that says flatten, and then it'll flatten it into audio, and basically it's the same signal, but just this really nice wash of reverb. And also I forgot to play this. This is the piano melody. So then onto the drums. Once I kind of like did the melody, all these drums, by the way, are in my stash kit, which you can get on my Patreon. It's free for all members. So I went with this hi-hat. Pretty simple hi-hat pattern. There's like a break in here. I had this pattern and then I chopped it out and I put it onto a different track, and then I added H delay to it, and then I did halftime on it just to give it like an interesting texture. So I only wanted that to like affect that part of the hi-hat, so I had to separate the MIDI. Then I got a couple of snares. That percussive layer you can hear there, it just has a H delay on it, and it's just got a half note delay. It's like a ping pong delay. And then the only other thing I have is like this jerk type percussion that is in every beat these days. And then the 808, basically just went this like really subby 808. I don't know if it's the same one, but it sounds to me similar as the 808 in the song Clown. So these are the chords. So the blue notes are the 808. And basically, so I did this thing, like I actually learned this from Era. So, cause what I used to do is I'd always like have my 808 just like land on the root note or the chords, like, but basically I just let go of the idea of that. Just put whatever notes sound good. Anyway, this is what this sounds like. If you want to grab a copy of this project file, check out my Patreon. I upload all of my project files on there, obviously, and they're free to download for all my members. I think that's it.